he walked through the crowded streets, a big man who moved as lightly and easily as a dancer. He let the city flow around him, absorbing it through all his senses, including ones that civilized men have largely lost. But he was not civilized. He was aware of the lights, the colors, the bright banners that hung above the sin shops. Underneath it all, he sensed rich, ripe decay. Skaeth was dying, of course, but it did not seem to be dying well. Action, adventure, alien creatures, exotic worlds, heroic men, brave women, power weapons, and swords. In years past, there was a popular subgenre of science fiction that celebrated all of the above. Call it science fantasy, call it sword and planet, call it planetary romance. That passage, in my opinion, is one of the finest examples of this category. And while this subgenre and this series of books in particular still hold their fandom, largely they have been forgotten. As has the author, a writer who helped define this subgenre, a form of fiction typified by manly men doing heroic things, and this author was a woman. I'm VJ, this is The Hairy Edge, and let's dive into it. The Ginger Star was first published in 1974. It is the first volume of a trilogy that has become known as the Book of Skaeth, and for me, these books are a masterpiece of their genre. They feature the character Eric John Stark, a human raised by the animalistic primates of Mercury. The human is called Stark, the beast is called Unchaka. Both sides often at war with each other, but when needed, both natures combine to create the perfect warrior, mercenary, adventurer, and self-described outlaw. Stark first appeared in the pages of Planet Stories magazine in the 1940s. The byline for these stories was Lee Brackett. I first encountered this Golden Age author in the 70s and, I'm sorry to say, made what seemed an obvious assumption in terms of gender. That era of sci-fi, and that subgenre in particular, was not exactly welcoming to female authors. The protagonists and their audiences were overwhelmingly male. At least that is what the marketing would have us believe. A female writing sword and planet stories was unusual as Stark himself, described as a dark-skinned warrior. Brackett, for a good part of her career, was a genre author, sci-fi, westerns, mysteries, detective stories. She wrote for pulp magazines, which at that time catered to a mostly male audience. To be sure, females did write for these magazines, but largely under male pen names. But Lee Brackett sounded masculine enough. Brackett wrote for TV and movies. She wrote several westerns for director Howard Hawks. She also wrote a couple of B-movies that have sort of become cult classics. Brackett's background in detective stories and cowboy fiction is evident in these early Stark stories. He is very much an outlaw, but one who lives by his own moral code. It is this moral code that brings Stark to Skaeth, world of the Ginger Sun. Ashton Clark is an Earth diplomat who has been kidnapped on the planet. Clark is also the man who rescued Unchaka from Mercury and made him into Eric John Stark. It is at this point we can finally ask, what makes these books so great? Beyond some well-conceived action, what sets the Skaeth books apart is the world building. The planet of Skaeth is an ancient world, but now dying, and its various cultures have reacted in different ways. Creatures called the Children of the Sea, our mother, have retreated to the seas and evolving into amphibious beasts in hope that the oceans would protect them. The Falaran, who worship the dying sun and attempted to engender a mutation to give them wings. Wings they received, but they cannot fly. The Children of Skaeth, our mother, who worship the very soul of the planet and have retreated deep within her womb, mutating into furred creatures, content to live in darkness, hoping that even in death, their Earth Mother will protect them. Their leader is Kel Marg, priestess of the Earth Mother. She is described thusly: in her great hall, deep in the mountain heart of the glimmering witchfires, Kel Marg, Skaeth's daughter, sat upon the dais. Her throne was carved from rich brown rock the color of loam. The shape of it was a robed woman. Kel Marg sat with her hands on the hands of Skaeth's mother, and her slim white furred body gleamed against the dark stone. Then there are the hounds, gigantic beasts bred to protect the evil wandsmen in their citadel. But they not only kill with their jaws, they kill with telepathy, sending out waves of fear that humans cannot resist. But inside Stark is Unchaka, not human, but a predatory animal that has no fear of the hounds, and eventually becomes their master. Brackett's writing is fluid and concise. She keeps the pace moving while seamlessly infusing these cultures and characters with a pathos and depth not often seen in this genre. The Book of Skaeth saw Stark's first appearance in 20 years, and it would be his last. Brackett passed away shortly after their publication. For me, they stand alone in the planetary adventure genre, thrilling and exciting, but also compelling and at times moving. Was it Lee Brackett's quote-unquote feminine touch that gives these books their grace? Or just a mature writer at the top of her game? No matter what, a female author working in a masculine genre gave us a series that is memorable as Eric John Stark was himself.